All people here are truly welcome.
I am Lana Lux. I'm Kansas City's Japanese Barbie, Midwest Taylor Swift.
Wow, that was the first gay pride.
Beauty is breaking free from the norm. Beauty is queerness and magic.
It's so important for people to see themselves represented.
I feel like there's a future for us.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us for this Pride Month special. I'm Ray Daniel. The next 30 minutes will be a celebration and reflection of the diverse voices within the LGBTQ+ community. We start on Kansas City's west side, where a space often deemed unwelcoming for the queer community is trying to change the narrative.
I'm Leah Hopkins here at Christ the King Independent Catholic Church in the west side, where members of the LGBTQ community say they have found an inclusive space to practice Catholicism.
And so all people here are truly welcome.
Father Taylor Tracy founded the church. While he's ordained, the church is not affiliated with the Kansas City Diocese.
We started with nothing. We met in the park during COVID-19, and I said we didn't have a candlestick to our name.
Father Taylor is part of the LGBTQ+ community himself. He met his husband in high school.
I will tell you, I couldn't be here without him.
125 parishioners attend the church he established in 2021 at the corner of Penway and Jefferson Streets.
Well, we welcome all people, and that includes those in the LGBTQI+ community, those who have been divorced, those who have been made to feel as though they aren't welcome for one reason or another.
That includes parishioner Teresa Magana, a lifelong Catholic who was married by the courts, divorced, and married a Baptist. After feeling unwelcomed at her previous Catholic church, she says Christ the King is her church for life.
It's a wonderful feeling. I feel at peace now. I feel like if I were to pass tomorrow that I'm okay. And I didn't feel that way. I was worried about that.
Parishioner Jenry Conley is part of the LGBTQ+ community and a lifelong Catholic. She has attended the church for 2 years with her fiance. One day, Father Taylor will officiate their wedding.
I think about this a lot, just how blessed I am to have this space, to have a space where we can get married and have our wedding ceremony with the faith traditions that I hold so close to my heart.
It's everything Father Taylor hoped for, to create a welcoming community guided by his beloved Catholic traditions. In Kansas City, Leah Hopkins, KSHB 41 News.
A new nightclub for the LGBTQ+ community is set to open this fall in Westport. It'll be more than just a place to grab a drink. It'll be a safe space to feel accepted and have fun. KSHB 41 News reporter Jian Kim visited Q, Kansas City, for a preview tour.
It is scary to walk into spaces and not know if it's a safe space for you or not know if they have your back.
As a trans woman, it's a conversation Landon often has with her friends before a night out.
Trans, queer, non-binary, anybody coming in your bar, the safety of everybody should be important. So I think places like this are setting the standard, and it is just an example for what the further community and world should do.
This is going to be the main bar where you get your first cocktail.
You're getting a sneak peek of a new nightclub dedicated to the LGBTQ+ community. A 2-story venue with a stage, dance floor, an outdoor patio, and a speakeasy with a purpose.
So this is where we're going to honor the history of all the gay bars that have come before us.
For 8 years, owner Lance Pierce has been hosting a pop-up called Queer Bar Takeovers. He felt it was time to take all that learning and establish their rightful place in the heart of Westport.
Queer community is one of the communities that understands the full spectrum of humanity and how to hold space for that entire spectrum. And I'm really excited for this space to model that behavior for the rest of Kansas City.
Kansas City, Missouri Councilman Crispin Rhea is here to support in his official capacity.
We need to make sure that as policymakers, we continue to create policies, laws, and programs that keep all communities in mind, LGBTQ folks included.
As Kansas City continues to demand attention on a national and international stage, all say it's a critical moment in history for KC to set the tone.
When more spaces like this are created, they're supported. You know, not just by their queer community, by the allies, by the council, by the city, by the state, by the neighboring bars, because this is important.
Jian Kim, KSHB 41 News.
And you may recognize Landon, who you just met in that story, by another name.
I am Lana Lux. I'm Kansas City's Japanese Barbie, Midwest Taylor Swift.
She goes by many names, but she's one of a kind. Still ahead, learn more about the Grand Marshal of this year's Pride Parade. Every year, Kansas City celebrates Pride Month with a parade and festival at Tice Park. Ahead of the festivities, we looked back at the origins of the celebration and those who continue to make it a welcoming and inclusive space for all.
The name Leah Hopkins is one you'll want to remember, and that's because she helped Kansas City organize its first ever Pride Parade. Now, nearly 50 years later, we're taking a look back at how Leah Hopkins helped us get here.
Through black and white pictures,
Yeah, it is a snapshot. It's a record.
you'll find one of Kansas City's most colorful characters here.
Her passion is unyielding.
You're looking at UMKC's special collections. Stuart Hines is the archivist here.
You mentioned someone helping to organize the first Pride Parade. I believe that's a friend of yours.
She's remarkable. I mean, she really is. Headline reads, Leah Hopkins leading a gay rights rally.
And what's the date?
That is July of '77.
Wow. That was the first gay pride.
Leah Hopkins helped organize Kansas City's first ever Pride Parade in 1977.
I just decided we needed to do that.
Leah doesn't want others to face what she endured.
I knew that I was gay when I was 13, but in the Black community, that is something that is not discussed.
The first Pride Parade was small.
Because we weren't a big group. You know, there were only 4 of us doing this.
Decades later, it's turned into an event, one Leah humbly downplays.
You don't need to pat me on the back for this. I need to pat you on the back that you are strong enough to be in a gay pride parade.
Her personality is unfiltered.
I'm very strong-minded.
Her passion is unquestioned.
She is a colorful character.
And her legacy is inked in Kansas City history.
I always speak up.
Elise Schoenig, KSHB 41 News.
I'm KSHB 41 News reporter Todd Palmer, and we sat down with Lana at her home to talk about the honor of being Grand Marshal in this year's Kansas City Pride Parade.
I am Lana Lux. I'm Kansas City's Japanese Barbie, Midwest Taylor Swift.
9 years ago, Lana never would have predicted where she'd be today.
Lana Lux has just kind of been a persona I've developed over the years, but really, Lana Lux is an extension of Landon, and Lana was a nickname before it was a stage name.
In 2015, Lana became the first trans female homecoming queen in Missouri history at Oak Park High School, which made her something of a cult hero. But being a drag queen hadn't entered her mind until she got hired as a waitress at Hamburger Mary's.
Just being around everyone, next thing I know, I was like asked if I wanted to do one. And after watching them for so long, I kind of was like, I kind of want to do this or try it, like as like a hobby, you know.
Now she's a powerhouse and a full-time performer.
Lana is like a pop star or like a Lady Gaga, a Taylor Swift. When I go on stage, to me, I think of it as like a VMA's performance, an award show performance. It's not really about becoming someone different. It's just about showing who I really am.
More than an entertainer, Lana, only 26, has become a powerful voice and advocate, which prompted the call inviting her to be Grand Marshal.
We see what you do in Kansas City, the spaces you create, and especially what you went and did in Jefferson City. And we just think you would be like the perfect Grand Marshal. Like, it was just very sweet. And it was a really, like, I kind of like got emotional about it and like cried.
She doesn't do the things she does for the praise, but her work has made her a role model in the community, and she's embraced that.
So it's been really cool to like, my reach is like reaching beyond just LGBTQ bars, and ally bars and places are wanting to like, you know, participate and like really like create safe spaces within the city. And that's truly what, like, to me, pride and like allyship is about.
Todd Palmer, KSHB 41 News.
MCKB is a Kansas City business that's a safe space for everyone, where everyone's literally welcome to come have a seat. I'm KSHB 41 News reporter Elise Schoenig, and I'll show you how they're also getting ready for the Pride Parade.
The many sounds of MCKB are what make it a community.
When you walk in the door, no matter how you're feeling that day, you're going to feel a little bit better when you walk out of here.
Christy and Charlie Vincent co-own the new business, which stands for Masculine of Center, Big on Dapper.
Their business started online through Sense for people who are masculine of center.
We've sold to almost all states. We've had requests from 3 different countries.
Christy and Charlie realized lots of KC service providers didn't feel welcomed in their spaces. Now, 4 individual businesses for hair, tattoos, massaging, and tailoring operate out of Makbad too.
People that would never even look at each other outside of here make friends and like plans to meet up here. It's amazing to see.
Christy and Charlie were asked to operate the first ever wellness tent at the Kansas City Pride Parade too.
We have over 39 wellness providers from all different categories of wellness, such as mental health, physical wellness, financial wellness, environmental wellness, spiritual wellness, and more.
But the inclusion this space creates is what brings it all together.
We want these young individuals to see that there is a community that stands behind them, whether they're queer or whether they're an ally.
Because that's what the Pride Parade and Makbad celebrate together. Community.
I mean, you can hear it.
Yeah. And love.
I feel like I live here, like this is my home. And so when people walk in the door, it's kind of like, oh, hey, come on in, sit down.
Elise Schoenig, KSHB 41 News.
A Kansas City mom shares the importance of voices like hers represented in the books in our libraries. I'm KSHB 41 News reporter Olivia Akery with more on the Johnson County Library Pride Month book displays.
If you ever wanted to try out skateboarding but weren't sure if you'd fit in, this place is for you. Reporter Marla Martinez introduces us to a park that's welcoming any and everyone to drop in.
Goofball Skateboards is not your ordinary skate park.
What I love about skateboarding is that it's not a team sport, but it's a community sport.
A space where underrepresented skaters are taking their skills to new heights.
Like the rise of queer and trans folks in skateboarding, I think we're finally getting to a place where like that wider representation is there.
Joan and Harper Rose wanted to break the barrier on a male-dominated sport and turn it into a place where anyone is welcome, looking beyond background and gender.
Like having trans adults around who understand what you're going through and like people who are super supportive of you, like unconditionally, it's just really cool.
Nico Henney just recently started skateboarding. It's a place that's teaching him more than just boarding skills.
It's super cool to have other queer adults to talk to. Like about your problems. Harper and Joan and everyone else, they do understand it. Like I can talk to them about my problems and like they can be like, yeah, I went through something similar.
And a place where obstacles are overcome with the support of a community.
Whenever I see people skating here and enjoying themselves and, particularly the queer community, I feel like there's a future for us.
Marlon Martinez, KSHB 41 News.
As we highlight voices of our community this Pride Month, the Johnson County Library is doing the same. I'm KSHB 41 News reporter Olivia Akery, bringing you the voice of a Kansas City mom who knows the importance of voices like hers represented in our libraries.
When Ashley Hayden Peaches is picking out a bedtime story, she keeps a few things in mind.
We do seek out a lot of books that are about queer families and that represent lots of different family structures, and especially that have Black and brown kids in them.
Hayden Peaches and her wife want to help their kids understand what they're reading, no matter the topic.
I actually did bring home a book a couple of weeks ago, and it was a Pride book, and there was a lot more explaining than I typically would have to do. But as a parent, that's my job.
A parent's job, and maybe a librarian's.
One of our core missions is to learn and explore, enjoy, create, connect. So I think Pride Month gives our community an opportunity to do all of those things.
Alyssa Andre works at the Johnson County Library, where they're highlighting books for Pride Month.
It's so important for people to see themselves represented in media, whether it's a book, an online resource, whatever that is.
Hearing LGBTQ+ voices is becoming harder to do in some states. The American Library Association says the number of book challenges rose 65% in 2023. The organization says Missouri is among the top book censorship states. Hayden Peaches is working to keep Pride books on the shelves.
We all need to see other people as the hero in the things that we're consuming, and that's really important to recognize that it's not just about ourselves, but about our collective power as a society.
In Merriam, Olivia Akery, KSHB 41 News.
What is life like in Kansas City for members of the queer community? That's the idea behind a survey produced by the Urban Education Research Center at UMKC. They told KSHB 41 News anchor Taylor Hopkins a survey like this is long overdue in Kansas City.
Dr. Karen Chang understands that it's not always easy to talk about, much less advocate for yourself.
I am a gay woman who lives a very quiet life, and so I probably, a decade ago, may or may not have done a survey.
But she and her team from the Urban Education Research Center at UMKC are asking you to try.
We haven't done a survey, I think, for over a decade, and times have changed over the past decade. This is really important to me.
Not just Kansas City, but all bigger cities should be responsive to the needs of community members.
They know that a survey can't answer every question, but in crafting this questionnaire, they're trying to pay attention to important parts of anyone's life, like healthcare and safety. And they want to know about times that needs have not been met.
In part, it's about directing funding, but in part, it's really elevating those stories about those barriers and obstacles that folks in our community face.
Funding is a big part of this conversation on both sides. The team got a roughly $50,000 grant from Kansas City to put the survey in place. But there are multiple nonprofits waiting on results from the survey to see where to spend their money.
What does the community need from us, and how do we meet that need?
Jennifer Wilson leads one of those groups, the Modern Family Alliance. They're focused on connecting queer parents with other families and with resources they may need. Resources that could make life just a little bit easier.
When you felt a little uncomfortable all the time, you don't realize that that is not the norm for a lot of people. I am happily married. I have 3 beautiful children. I love my job. I still wonder on a very regular basis how somebody is going to treat me when I walk into a space that I don't know.
She tells me that her team is already planning for 2025 and what adjustments they might have to make after this survey is done. The survey asks you to be as personal as you want to be, even if the details are hard. Hopefully, Dr. Chang tells me, those difficult pasts can lead to better futures.
We want to tell those stories, and I know they're going to be hard and painful, but that's also part of this survey process.
Taylor Hopkins, KSHB 41 News.
The Empowerment Studio in Kansas City challenges you to a 5-day selfie challenge. I'll have more details coming up.
In a time where social media often dictates our self-worth and body image, a Kansas City area studio is helping encourage self-empowerment and self-love through a unique event. KSHB 41 News reporter Marla Martinez explains the 5-day selfie challenge and how you can get involved.
For many of us, self-love can be hard to embrace sometimes.
I will say I did not like pictures of myself.
David Ezell did anything to avoid turning his camera on selfie mode.
I did not take pictures of myself. If you look at my Instagram before that selfie challenge, it's a lot of, this is what I ate today.
He soon realized it all starts by accepting yourself first.
I was in a really sort of transitional period in my life. I was just coming out.
But sometimes it takes the help of others for us to recognize what our own eyes sometimes can't.
I can see beauty in every single person that I photograph.
Kinsey Elizabeth, the owner of Empowerment Studio, knows how to capture that moment through boudoir photography, a unique form that focuses on one's beauty.
Beauty is breaking free from the norm. Beauty is queerness and magic. Beauty is anything that you see and you're just like, oh yeah, that.
And the Empowerment Studio challenges you to show your beauty through the Selfie to Self-Love Challenge, a 5-day challenge that goes beyond the lens.
Every single person's first step is going to be different, right? Some people have been like, ooh, I think I want to take some selfies, but I don't know how. And so for them, my goal is that they show up and they take these selfies each day and they end up with one photo at least that they really love of themselves.
Thanks to the challenge, it has helped many like David realize self-love starts with yourself.
10 years ago, us would have a complete panic attack about our lives now, but it really is where we're supposed to be. And we do have the selfie challenge to thank for that.
Marlon Martinez, KSHB 41 News.
I'm Caroline Hogan. Kansas City is an arts city. You can see it just walking down the streets downtown. But one organization decided there needs to be a space for queer artists where they can showcase all their talents, whether it's through music, drag, or dance.
For Oscar Trujillo, dance is a language in its own.
It invites you into thinking, it invites you into feeling.
The professional dancer is bringing that expression to this year's Queer Narratives Festival, performing a duet with a friend.
She's also an out queer person, and we're looking at sort of queer family and the different ways that we create family as queer people.
Creating that safe space for artists of all kinds is the #1 priority for Stacy Bush, the founder of the festival and the nonprofit No Divide KC.
There's drag, there's comedy, there's music. I knew that for me as a creative, I wanted to give back to Kansas City.
But Stacy said she felt that space was infiltrated last year after she said the group was denied a grant by the Missouri Arts Council.
There was a real kind of censorship approach that was fairly shocking to me.
We reached out to the Missouri Arts Council. The executive director, Michael Donovan, said No Divide KC received funding for their Come As You Are program, which he said is aligned with their initiative. But he didn't mention the Queer Narratives Festival. In a world where many are fighting for queer rights, Stacy believes this incident speaks to a larger issue.
I found to be really concerning, not just for us, but for the state of arts and the state of arts funding in the city in general.
Oscar hopes his dance can speak to why it's important to have these events.
Sometimes these performers don't actually get invited to show up as themselves with their particular voices and identities. You're contributing to the community and being seen with loving eyes. I mean, that's a really special experience, right?
Caroline Hogan, KSHB 41 News.
You can find all of these stories and more on kshb.com. Thanks so much for joining us in this celebration of Pride Month.